the 20, the 10. Touchdown!
Texas coaches, Coach Brackle here from First Down Playbook. After 25 years as a Texas high school football coach, I understand the time, energy, and commitment it takes to compete at your level. First Down Playbook was created by coaches for coaches to help you vertically line your total program. 1 week free team membership for all Texas high school and college coaches. Let First Down Playbook help give you that winning edge.
You know what I'm going to get my wife for Christmas?
What?
Me going away for a week at state championships.
It's the best Christmas present a man can give his wife.
Tep and Stepp, your premium Texas high school football podcast from your friends at Dave Campbell's Texas Football and TexasFootball.com. I am the Tep Greg Tepper.
And I'm the Stepp, Matt Stepp.
And welcome to Thunderdome. This is one of the podcasts that you pay for.
Yes.
Like, this one is...
So you're putting the pressure on us. We got to give people their money's worth.
Get people deliver. Because at least part of it is, like, we're going to play this for free on Friday, but... What is it, 6 games will be done? 7 games will be done?
7 games Thursday, 8 on Friday.
Yeah, so like,
Saturday.
You're missing out if you're not becoming Dave Campbell's Texas Football subscriber.
Yeah, you're missing out.
Plus, you get all of our state championship preview stuff as well. This is your state semifinal preview edition of Tep and Stepp. The penultimate kind of, well, there's 4 episodes of the state championship.
Yeah,
preview,
there's 4.
But whatever. The penultimate Texas high school football podcast from your friends Tep and Stepp. We do thank you for spending part of your day with us. Coming up here in a moment, just all 20 games.
We're just gonna go 1 through 20.
We're just gonna go. We'll do a viewing guide. What it'll be, we'll go in chronological order of the games that you can watch, and pay attention to, and give you a viewing guide for this upcoming weekend. The biggest, I think this is perhaps regional final week's really good, but you could make an argument this is like the most high profile week of games across the state.
It's a banging slate. I mean, it's the state semifinals.
Come
on. Apparently, V&A Moreno has some hot takes about the 7:00 kickoff Saturday night.
Let's make sure we don't forget V&A Moreno, our regular sized V&A, who is our intrepid producer. Hi, V&A.
Hello.
Hey, let's see if this works out better this week. Ready?
Okay.
Hey, V&A, you look really nice today.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
See,
you look great as well.
We didn't need it in return.
No,
we were saying that because it's true. Yeah. That's it. Anyway.
Well, just saying a nice thing today. We're going to preview nice thing to V&A.
We're going to preview all 20 Texas high school football state championships, state semifinals coming up here in a moment. But first, Matthew, we will start as we always do with your Texas high school football fun fact of the week, presented by Community Coffee.
Oh yeah, There's a lot of Community Coffee being drunk this weekend at stadiums because it was cold.
Community Coffee supports and celebrates the thriving communities at the heart of Texas high school football. Community Coffee, strong as our roots. Discover more at Community Coffee.
.com.
Matt Stepp, your Texas high school football fun fact of the week. There are 40 UIL Texas high school football state semifinals this week. That doesn't count the 4 state finalists in 6-man. Congratulations. In 1A, we'll kick things off with Jayton taking on Oakwood. 5-loss Oakwood. Oakwood can win a title at 10-5. That'll kick off at 11 a.m. on next Wednesday, as well as then we will have the 1A Division I state championship game, matchup of unbeatens between Whiteface taking on Gordon. But that is not what we're here to talk about. Actually, you know what's interesting? Gordon is no, never mind. That doesn't make any sense.
I know Gordon's really good.
Gordon's very good. They're
like big rivals of Strawn, right?
Oh yeah.
And I know we're Strawn. Mary's Chicken Fried Steaks.
Matt Stepp, your Texas high school fun fact of the week. Of the 40 UIL Texas high school football state semifinalists right now, how many are seeking their first ever trip to the state championship game? Their first ever state finalist.
There's a lot. There's a good number this
Out
year.
of 40.
Yeah, I remember looking at this. I'm going to say, let's go with Baker's dozen 13.
It's less than that. It's 8.
Okay.
There's 8. Hamilton has never been to a title game. Joaquin, Woodville, Paradise, Columbus.
Columbus has never played in a state championship game?
Let me double check this.
Wow.
Columbus has never played a state championship game.
Wow.
Canyon West Plains, Lavernia,
By
and
the way,
Richmond Randall.
WTF is leaving.
Bye, WTF. Bye, WTF.
I'm here.
Well, you're Tep and
You're
Stepp.
Tep and Stepp.
We claim you.
Ride or die.
Today I'm Tep Stepp.
Anyway, 8. That's your Texas
Okay.
High School Ball Fun
So-
Fact of the Week. 8 teams,
My math is correct. That is 20%.
20%, which is cool. We got some new blood for sure.
I think we're gonna get some new teams at state, which is awesome.
So there it is, your Texas High School Ball Fun Fact of the Week. Okay, so normally this would be the time where we kind of recap, but essentially because we're previewing all 20 games, we're just going to kind of talk about, as it naturally comes up, what happened last week, which was a wild...
also to prevent the podcast from being 3 hours.
Yes, also that. So what we're going to do here on the podcast, we're going to go chronological order as the games occur this weekend.
Okay.
So we will start things off. 7 o'clock Thursday night. There are 7 games on Thursday.
And they all start at 7?
All kicking at 7.
So how do you figure out which one's first?
We'll go smallest to largest.
Oh, okay. Okay.
If they're tied, tie goes to the smallest team.
Next year, let's do west to east.
That would be
Just
tough
mix it
for
up.
me to figure
Yeah.
out. But we are going to start west. 7 o'clock Thursday night at Fair Park Stadium in Childress. A 2A Division II state semifinal between the Groover Greyhounds, the champions of Region 1, and the Munster Hornets, the champions of Region 2. And Groover, the lone undefeated team in 2A Division 2. And it's been that way for a minute. I want to say maybe even entering the playoffs. They're the only undefeated 2A Division 2
There weren't
team?
many. 2A Division 2 took some L's.
Let me see how many one-loss teams there are.
2A Division 2 took some L's in non-district because
Yeah.
they have to play up for.
They have to
all
play
the
up for
games.
baseball.
There weren't a lot of undefeated teams.
They were the only one entering the playoffs.
Wow. So
And
out of the 64 teams, they were the only one.
Absolutely,
still
right.
here.
And here they are, and they're playing. And look, I think everything about Groover, we haven't talked about them. I think because Region 1 is maybe not the strongest region out there.
It's very top heavy.
Very top heavy.
You got Groover, you had Wink, you had Stratford, and Ropes.
And Ropes, yeah. But I think everything about Groover is just like real impressive. Like the offense is excellent. Walker Maupin, we've talked about him.
Yeah.
A very famous brother. He's a very famous brother.
Yes. Second best athlete in his family behind his sister.
Briggs Satterfield, their quarterback, has been rock solid.
Yeah.
They have a playmaking defense. I looked this up. They've forced 32 turnovers in 14 games.
Speaking of siblings, I think Jalen Conyers' little brother plays for Groover
I think
as well.
it's Jackson Conyers.
Yeah.
I will tell you, though, that if you are concerned about Groover, the reason would be, who have you played? And I think part of that is if you take a look at their opponent's record, they're 72-74 on the year.
Ooh,
okay, their opponents are a combined 72-74. Munster's combined opponents have won a combined 110 games.
yes. And Munster played up a lot.
They did.
In non-district, they were playing a lot of 3A.
Holiday.
Pottsboro. They played up, and then
They played Pottsboro within a score.
And then in the playoffs, the last 2 weeks, they've beaten Albany and Collinsville. And not only beaten those two teams, but throttled them.
Yes.
They beat Albany, I think, 56-14. Last week, 54-14. It was 40-7 at the half. It was over at halftime. I mean, Pickle and Mallory were there, and I got a text from Pickle and said, "This game's over. It's 40-7. It's over."
And I think it's really important to remember that, like, Albany was the two-time defending state champs. And admittedly, we kind of said from the jump, we didn't think Albany was as good as they had been in the past couple of years. You lose Adam Hill, and he's just and also a number of other really important players from that team.
Sure.
But Collinsville, they were still really good, and Collinsville was still really good. And I think there's a fair argument to be made that they took the second and third best teams in Region 2, and they beat them by a combined 110-28 in consecutive weeks.
Collinsville's only lost 2 games all year, both to Munster.
Both by double digits.
Yeah.
And Case and Carney, he's the real deal.
Yeah.
Like
He's been great.
He
got thrown into the fire as a freshman, and Munster struggled, and we saw the chatter. You know, people were like, this coach's kid's playing quarterback, blah, blah, blah. He's proved all the doubters wrong.
Absolutely.
He's come in and been great in the playoffs all throughout the season. He has led this team, and he's talented. He's a coach's kid. He knows the offense, and he's making plays.
And I think the defense is not just nasty. They are nasty, but they are peaking. They are playing.
This is I
mean, Collinsville was hanging 50 burgers on everybody, and Munster just like for a second time. I'll just say this. This is my take on it. I think Munster has seen a team like Groover, and I am not sure Groover's seen a team like Munster.
Yeah, I've tried to tell people that I think Munster is before the playoffs. I thought they were the clear favorite to get to the state championship game. They've done nothing to make me move off of that. And I don't want to say it's going to be lopsided, but if you're going on the lopsided kind of scale of things, I think this is going to be a lopsided. I think Munster is just clearly the superior
Computers
team.
got this as a 14-point game.
That's a big margin.
That's a big margin in state semifinal, for sure. I like Munster. I think that they've been my pick for a while, and I ain't hopping off quite yet. Okay, so then we'll have 1-2 Division II simultaneously, very close to Childress. 7 o'clock Thursday night at Cy-Fair FCU Stadium.
Right down the street. Are they in the same district? In Childress and Cy-Fair in the same district. What a
Do you think anybody in Childress has ever thought about, man, we should go to the Berry Center?
Yeah.
It is a 2A Division II
sicko there like me, maybe.
state semifinal pitting the champions of Region 3, the Bremond Tigers, against the champions of Region 4, the Shiner Comanches. A moment on Bremond who... Remember, this was a rematch of a team they played in non-district. They played Grapeland in non-district and kind of got beat by like 12.
Yeah, Grapeland. And I was flying the Grapeland flag. Yeah, I, by the way, here's a brag. I drove through Grapeland on Saturday.
That is a brag. Took you like 20 seconds.
It wasn't much.
Yeah,
it wasn't much.
It's a tiny town.
Yeah.
But I will tell you this: they avenged it in a big way.
Yes,
they turned it into like a 31-point win. They did the Ganado. Remember when Ganado played Refugio and they lost by like 20, and then they came back and they beat them by 30?
Yep,
something like that.
We're gonna Josh Urban. We're calling it the Ganado from now on.
But I'll do the Ganado. There are a couple other teams that pulled Ganados. I'll tell you about this though. For Bremond, this does kind of track on a classic team that's super young, and you catch them early, and now you're catching them late, and they're catching you.
Yeah, freshman quarterback Sam Kosowski.
They got a freshman linebacker leading them in tackles, Case and Scott.
Yeah, and they've also got a guy named Tank Scott, their running back. Tank Scott,
Dewdrock,
who's 5'6", 170, and his nickname is Tank.
Come to the banquet.
Love it. And their offensive line at Bremond for a 2A school, massive. They got a guy at 6'8" on their offensive line.
What the hell?
Yeah, 2A school. They are massive on the offensive line.
282.
Yeah, and so you got a 5'6" running back running behind an offensive line with a 6'8" guy.
Okay, that works.
Yeah, it seems to work. Tank Scott had a big game last week. Kosowski, the quarterback, as a freshman, is doing big things. This is a good Bremond team that's peaking at the right time.
They are, and they are once Mart lost, it felt like probably, I mean, obviously Overton needed to be dealt with.
Yeah,
and they need to be considered because they got
beat
the
them in a close game, but Bremond.
But then I think Bremond
23-0 in the second half. They outscored Grapeland 23-0 in the second.
I think Bremond entered as the team to beat in Region 3. Shiner, I think once they beat Fall City in district play, established themselves as the team to beat in Region 4. We even talked about it on this show.
Sure.
We said this is a setup for who is the team to beat in Region 4. Sure enough, it was Shiner. And Buddy, what they did to Junction last week, that is a really good and pretty explosive Junction team.
And Shiner put them in the sharpshooter.
They locked them in the figure 4.
Yeah, whatever wrestling reference you want.
Yeah.
What did you call it?
I think I said I put them in the Dean Malenko Texas Cloverleaf.
I don't even know what that is.
Dean Malenko is an awesome wrestler. He's my favorite.
Okay.
Anyway, all that's to say.
Yeah, Junction had 105 yards of offense for the game.
I think Shiner is one of the most ferocious defenses pound for pound in the state of Texas. And it's been that way all year. You go back to even in their losses. We were talking, man, I hate to keep repeating ourselves on the show, but like,
it's like we know what we're talking about.
Shut up. In their losses, they were like, they played Edna, right? A 3A Division I team that's still playing.
Yeah.
And they they beat them, or they lost like 21-14 or something.
It was close.
It was like a super close, low-scoring game.
Edner goalie yet?
Let me see. This
Live
is Noble.
coverage of-
Shiner played. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of Poth. I get all those like hard-nosed like South Texas teams. They lost to Poth 21-14.
Yeah.
Okay.
Poth, who finished 12-1 in
Correct.
in 2 divisions higher and 3 in Division II.
And so their defense is spectacular. Jake Simper leads that defense, and they play complementary football. Like this is classic Shiner football of like, we're going to run the ball with Carson Schutte and Quincy Jones, and we're going to lean on our defense, and we're going to put you in the sharpshooter. I am not. What I need to see is, can Bremond break through?
Yeah.
I don't think that this is a Shiner team that's going to put up 40.
No, they're not. They're young and they're still figuring it out.
They're still figuring it out, but I think that Bremond's got to get to 30 points. And I'm just not sure they're going to get there against Shiner.
Yeah.
That defense has been so good. Now, Bremond could do it. This is not a miss. I don't want to say
really good
I don't want to
matchup
say
here.
Munster and Groover's a mismatch, but I think Munster's a clear favorite.
Yes.
This one is a super compelling matchup. It would not stun me if Bremond won, but I think Shiner's your favorite.
And it wouldn't stun me if we saw this matchup again in 2025.
Yeah,
These two young
real
teams.
young.
By the way, V&A, I need you to look something up while we're doing this. Shiner has some of the best helmets in the state of Texas. I want you to look up the Shiner football helmet. Find a picture of it and tell me what you think when you get a chance.
Shiner football helmet.
Yep.
You'll see.
Yep. It's purple and it's awesome.
Very good. So
if they make it to state, it'll be a great helmet to see. It's
at that point, we will have a 2A. Yeah, it's very good. They have very good
great
uniforms.
helmet,
At that point, we will have set the 2A Division II state championship. We matriculate Matthew. 7 o'clock Thursday night at beautiful Ram Stadium in beautiful Mineral Wells.
Oh, Palo Pinto County, home of the best Dairy Queen in Texas.
The Rogue Dairy Queen.
Yes, the Renegade DQ.
It is
Never mind.
It's a 2A Division I state semifinal.
We'll talk about that at the end of the show.
2A Division I state semifinal between the champions of Region 1, the Stanford Bulldogs, and Matt Stepp, the champions of Region 2, the Hamilton Bulldogs.
Just riding that Tep and Stepp magic, baby.
Oh my god.
Let's go!
Tep and Stepp come to
You know
your
what?
town, you're going 14-0, baby.
You know what? I'm going to say it. The official team of Tep and Stepp.
Yeah, I mean,
Hamilton Bulldogs.
We've eaten at Storms.
We've eaten Storm.
Tepper's read your small town newspaper.
Absolutely. The official team.
We drove
of Tep-
around town. We stopped at the weirdo gas station.
You know what we
like
should do
at
next
midnight.
year? I'm dead serious. We should buy, I'm sure we need to buy a banner that they can hang, on just promoting this podcast at Cook and Field.
But no, you're welcome. You're welcome, Hamilton. You're welcome. Hamilton, Texas. You're welcome. And it's got that logo.
It's got that logo on it. Oh, my God.
Could be people be driving through down. We need to put it in the downtown square, not at the stadium. You know the town square we drove through.
Well, Jesus.
They said y'all some merch.
All
Hamilton.
the question marks that are going to be coming up from people driving through there.
All right. I want to start with a positioning statement, okay? I want to start with the positioning statement.
This podcast is so
This
dumb.
is a matchup of unbeatens, okay? Stanford and Hamilton is a matchup of unbeatens. One of only two we've got in the semifinals.
Yeah.
I think we have a clear favorite in this one.
I agree.
But I also think we've got a team that should believe they're a team of destiny. Because Hamilton, dude, everything's coming up Millhouse for Hamilton.
Yeah, they're just finding ways to win.
Yeah.
They beat Currents 14-7 last week, and you're like, okay, there's no way they can do it again. And then against Axtell, they're down 14-0 in the third quarter. They haven't done a damn thing on offense. They have been bad. Bye, Brooke.
Bye, Brooke.
And they score a touchdown in the third quarter, make it 14-7, and then they can't do anything. And then with a minute left in the game, Hamilton hauls off and scores a touchdown. And instead of kicking the PAT, hey, 2A kickers, Coach Marwitz says, "Nah, we're gonna
Let me tell you.
we're gonna whip out the 12-pounder and we're gonna say we're going for 2."
Let me tell you.
What cojones?
Let me tell you.
And they got it.
They got it. And Ryan Marwitz, like why? Like, why not? Like, he subscribes to the F it, let's just go.
Yeah. Let's just let it rip.
Let it rip.
And they let it rip, and they are in the state semifinals.
Ryan Marwitz is our Let It Rip Coach of the Week.
Yes, congrats, Coach Marwitz. Can you bring us Storms?
They will need to let it. And this, I want to be clear. This is a good ball club. They are not 14-0
They're
by
not a fluke.
They're not 14-0 by accident. Jackson Edwards, Isaac Wood, but more importantly, that defense. That defense has held them in while the offense has just like poked and prodded and kind of cracked the safe.
Their last 3 playoff games, they have allowed a total of 35 points.
Amazing.
Which is pretty dang good for this deep in the playoffs.
Here comes to me a different animal. Okay. Yeah. Stanford. I want you to remember we were sitting here a week ago we're marveling at Post's win over Sunray and how well they played and how they went up against a really good undefeated Sunray team and
handled them.
And handled them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what do you do with a team that just went and handled them?
Yeah.
Because that's what Stanford did.
Because you look at that final score, 48-26. No. That thing was 35-0 late third quarter. It was Jover. Like Post got a lot of that in garbage time when Stanford had emptied. They had the JV out there. You know how I know Stanford had the JV out there in the fourth quarter? Because they had white helmets with no logo on them.
Yep.
In different looking jerseys. JV.
This is apropos of nothing. I took my my brother-in-law, my father-in-law, plus Hank and my wife to the Star.
Did Hank have a good time?
I had a great time.
Okay. Do you want to go to Highland Park now?
He was rooting for Lone Star. I want to admit that. I want to say that on it.
Okay.
We were sitting on the Lone Star side.
Okay, so he was fitting in. He was blending in. He wanted to blend in.
Exactly.
I got it. Smart man, Hank.
But my father-in-law asked me, he's like, why does Highland Park have so many players? And I said, because they've suited out their JV and their freshmen.
Yeah.
Which they always do. That's a Randy Allen thing.
Yeah. Highland Park will roll out 180 kids.
Yeah. It's just like, why? It's just super deep. Yeah. And that's just I think that's a Randy Allen thing. He likes to reward those guys to come to suit out for playoff games. Anyway, all that is to say, Stanford is rolling right now. Christian Duran, Caston Vega,
Clay Whitfield. Stanford is so fast.
Yes.
They are so athletic. They just have so much team speed, and they're a real matchup problem for most teams in 2A Division I.
And I will I think it's as simple as this. As good as Hamilton is, as great story as they are, we have said from the word go, from February.
We were early adopters of Stanford.
And we're early adopters of Region 1 over Region 2. That, plain and simple, Region 1 stronger than Region 2.
Agree.
I think that's just the name of the game here, is that you have a deserving Region 2 champion, but I think that Region 1 is just stronger, and Stanford is the undefeated, clear best team in Region 1. And
Stanford's won their 4 playoff games by an average of 35 points.
Yeah. The computer, if you're interested, has this as a 22-point ball game.
That's massive.
That's quite big. So anyway, I like Stanford in that one, but the official team, you cannot count out the official team of Tep and Stepp.
When me and you went to Hamilton for frost and winters, and it was 165 degrees outside, we said this team. You read that story, that scrimmage article in the Hamilton newspaper while munching on a cheeseburger at Storms, and you said this team is making a deep run. And look at them now. To 7 o'clock Thursday night at Woodforest Bank Stadium in Shenandoah. It is a 2A Division I state semifinal between the champions of Region 4, the Ganado Indians. And speaking of party crashers, the Joaquin Rams. What?
4th place Joaquin.
Yes, 4th place. I know they're in a tough district, and they tied for 3rd or whatever.
They lost to...
They were the 4th place.
They were 4th place team. They were seeded 4th.
They lost head-to-head to the 2 teams ahead of them.
They played a district champion in Centerville in the first round. That is how I know they were a 4th place team.
Yes.
And now it doesn't matter because they're 48 minutes away from playing for a title.
They're 4th place team in their district. They're regional champs.
This is preseason number 1 against a team that finished 4th in district.
Yes.
It's the way to categorize this.
Yes.
It is... And by the way, I looked this up. Do you know the DCTF computer projected them to lose each of the last 6 games?
Yeah, I mean we had them picked last in district, and we got reminded about it on social media.
Yeah,
magazine screenshots. Like, disrespect season is real.
It is real.
Joaquin, we disrespected you.
We disrespected Joaquin.
Yes,
I was not familiar with your game.
Yes.
Okay, because I'll tell you, dude, Elijah Hardison.
He had a huge game.
Their running back. He's over 2,000 yards now.
Yeah. Slot T.
It is the Devil.
Thank you.
Correct.
They're rolling.
Honeygrove would agree.
And because they beat Honeygrove at the Star, and I think this is important. Their defense played, I think, their best game of the year last week.
Yes, they held Rylan Morris. Rylan Morris had a couple of big runs, and that was about it. They really shut Honeygrove down.
Yeah.
And the offense just They just rotated running backs. They put T.J. Hawkins in the second half, and he's number 42, and he's just like a bowling ball. Mm-hmm. And Honeygrove just didn't want to tackle him in the second half. Mm-hmm. It was impressive. It was a really Joaquin doesn't get talked about because that part of East Texas just gets dominated by Garrison. And Joaquin is literally as far east as you can go in Texas. Mm-hmm. It is literally on the river, and like it's 5 minutes from Logansport, Louisiana. Mm-hmm. Like it is deep East Texas.
Way
it's
east.
Like they get Shreveport TV stations. Like
first year head coach too, right?
Yes, because Wade Lawson went to Wasp.
That's right, and they promoted offensive coordinator Jared Jones.
Yes, and they've done a great job.
Unbelievable.
They've been great.
They will need to be. We talked about how I think they played their best game of the year against Honeygrove. Mm-hmm. They have to do even better this week.
Yes.
Against
this is an experienced Ganado team who's been there. They've been in this stadium. This is where they played Timpson at last year. They beat Refugio. They've been in these big games, and they match up with Joaquin because they're big. You know, Joaquin kind of physically dominated.
They can
Honeygrove.
play some bully ball on you.
Well, Ganado's. Let's go.
They want the smoke.
Yes, and Bryce Ullman at quarterback, Logan Burris. They've got a lot of playmakers, and they have a lot of playoff experience. And this is a senior-heavy ball club in Ganado. This is, I feel like this is their time.
And the other thing about them, it is important to note that this was a Marlin team they played last week that was rolling offensively.
Yeah.
Okay. A Marlin team that just got done hanging 40 on Mason.
A really good Mason team.
Right? They had been absolutely rolling. They were averaging 32 points a game, and that's after this game. Mm-hmm. And they smushed them.
Yeah.
41-14. The Cinderella story is remarkable.
I was trying to remember. Have we ever had a fourth-place team play for a state championship?
I don't know. I would love to have to look it up.
I know
that would be fun.
I know we've had fourth-place teams make the semis.
The computers got this as a 22-point ball game.
A little rich for my blood because I do think Joaquin will hang around. Just the nature of their style of play will keep them in the game. Unless they turn it over.
Yeah. Right, of course.
But, yeah, I do like Ganado by double digits. 22 is probably a couple of 22-point spreads in 2A.
Yeah. I like Ganado as well. I've been on their bandwagon since the jump. I help it off. But Joaquin,
if Ganado makes it to state, they're going to bring a big
both
crowd.
of those 2A Division I semifinals are like clear favorites versus Cinderellas. Mm-hmm. And those Cinderellas, like, the only thing more dangerous than a good team is a hot team.
Yeah.
And they're hot. We stay in 7 o'clock, but now we go to 3A. 7 o'clock Thursday night in New Caney at Randall Reed Stadium.
Great stadium. Great press box spread, too.
It is a 3A Division II state semifinal as the Tidehaven Tigers take on the Woodville Eagles.
What? Woodville? Your stat about Woodville, where they had never made the third round of the playoffs before.
They had never made the third round of the playoffs. They had never made the fourth round of the playoffs. They are now in the fifth round of the playoffs.
They just don't know any better at this point.
No, they are too young, and they just don't understand they're not supposed to be this good. And what that coaching staff has done is
Ty Robinson's done a great job.
Spectacular. And I think there's a real. Here's the way I framed it. There is a real argument to be made that neither of these teams were expected to be here. Right?
100%. Tidehaven, even though they played for a state championship last year, Joseph Dodds graduated.
Just a Baylor. A 3A Division II team loses a Power 4 running back.
And tough region. No one thought they could get past East Bernard, Lexington, Poth. Really tough region. And David Lucio was like, we're not supposed to be here. We just keep doing this. Mm-hmm. I think he used a different word, but we just keep doing it.
It's almost as if he and his coaching staff know what they're doing.
It's amazing.
Because last week against Lexington, I thought that was masterful. Because that's a Lexington team that was lighting fools up.
Lexington just got done beating the living hell out of Poth.
Yes.
And Tidehaven just drug them into the mud. And
this is what they do, and it's what they do this time of year. Mm-hmm. You remember that semifinal last year against Dangerfield which was 14-7?
They just kind of dragged Dangerfield into a mud fight and just said, come on, let's
take them into the deep waters, man. Mm-hmm. And that's what they do. They have reloaded Jake and Duran, their running back, and then their quarterback, Cale Russell. But more importantly, again, the defense is just peaking. They're playing at their best football right now.
Yeah, TJ Galvin I want to call him out last week. He had he caught a touchdown pass. Mm-hmm. He had an interception, and he also blocked a Lexington field goal.
Unbelievable.
Great game for all three phases for TJ Galvin. Had a huge game. And then Tidehaven's defense, the goal line, they were up 7 in the fourth quarter. They got a huge goal line stand with less than 2 minutes to go, kind of sealed the game. They went down and scored to put the capper on it. But this is a really they've beaten now Lexington and East Bernard in the past 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Like Tidehaven's for real.
They're for real. So's Woodville. Okay, remember they've never been in the third round. Mm-hmm. Now they're in the fifth round, and the offense has hit another gear of late. Tavion Hunter
hit 5 first-half touchdowns last week. I love the sophomore quarterback, Luke Babin.
I mean, dude.
He's a dude.
They are, and the thing is, I pulled up just some highlights, and this is a team that's like, I don't know how to describe it. They're having fun.
Yeah.
Like they're loose. They're just like playing ball.
Mm-hmm. And they have personally victimized Northeast Texas the last 2 weeks. First decab, and then last week I thought Dangerfield had just got done blasting Newton into the sun.
Uh-huh.
And Woodville beats them 4. I remember seeing the tweet from their Twitter, which I believe is run by former KBMT reporter Sapphire Cervantes. She was at Woodville. She's their social media person. It was 19-0 at the end of the first quarter, and I was like, I DM'd her. I was like, hey, is that score for real? And she was like, yeah. Yeah, we're playing really well.
Yeah, and they kept playing really well, and they blew out Dangerfield.
Yeah, blew them out. It was impressive.
This is I'll go on wax here. I think this is one of the toughest games to call this week.
This is a
tough. I think it's the toughest Thursday night game to call. I'll say that.
And this is probably where my viewing interest. I'm not going to be at this game, so there's a teaser there. But the Matt Stepp tablet will probably be on Woodville Tidehaven.
In a close game like this, I'm going to go with big game experience. Tidehaven's been here.
Okay.
They played in a state championship game, played in a semifinal. The moment won't be too big for them. I like Tidehaven, but this is coin flippy type stuff.
It's fair.
It would not surprise me at all if we're talking about Woodville. And honestly, if you're talking about, well, we'll get to that.
I'm going the hot hand. Give me Woodville. We disagree on one here.
I love it.
Give me the Eagles.
I agree. Computer's got us a 4-point Woodville game.
Yeah.
Don't disagree with that. Absolutely. Fantastic ball game. All right. We move. 7 o'clock, Thursday night, at the Star in Frisco. It is a 3A Division I state semifinal between the champions of Region 1, the Panthers of Paradise.
Oh, yeah.
And the champions of Region 2, owners of the state's longest winning streak, the defending state champs, the Malakoff Tigers, now winners of 30 in a row. And win number 30 for them was special. You were there.
I was there, and it was as thorough and dominating as you'll see. Liberty Ilo had been they put up 56 points on Winsboro in the first half. Mm-hmm. Liberty Ilo muffs the opening kickoff, and Malakoff gets on it and scores, and immediately it's 7-0. But the key sequence in this game was when Malakoff was up 14-0, and they were punting from their own 4-yard line. Mm-hmm. Liberty Ilo got to stop. It was like their own 9, I think. Okay. It was 4th and 3, 4th and 4. And Malakoff, early second quarter, it's 14-0, and Malakoff's punting. Liberty Ilo lines up offsides. They were going to have the ball at the 35-yard line. Yeah. They line up offsides, give Malakoff the ball. Malakoff proceeds to go on a 16-play, 90-yard drive. It took up 8 minutes of the second quarter, and Mike Jones capped the drive off with a 4-yard touchdown run. It was 21-0, and I told the guy from the Texarkana newspaper, I said, this is over. Yeah. This game is over. Malakoff just went on an 8-minute drive, and they're getting the ball to start the third quarter. It was done. It was a virtuoso performance, and on their offensive line and their defensive lines completely dominated that game.
Mike Jones has gone from like caretaker and game manager to that dude.
He's got that dog in him.
He's one of the original. He's got that dog in him.
He's unbelievable.
He's so good.
He took Daquan Prevost and was playing him one-on-one on defense several times. He's really good. And then elite athlete. People don't realize how good of an athlete Mike Jones is.
And then you add in Jason Tennyson, who missed all of last year with an injury, and he is playing inspired right now. Yeah. And again, the defense just shut out one of the most explosive teams in Texas.
Linebacker Parker Poteet is a dude.
Yes,
he's a guy.
They will draw Paradise And this is the thing I like about Paradise and digging in on them. They are a team that can beat you in a variety of different ways. Okay, their defense, I think, is the headliner here.
Yes,
Landon Morrison leads that defense.
This is going to be two really good defenses going at it. Yeah,
but they can, if they need to throw the ball, they can throw the ball. If they need to run the ball, they can run the ball. And here's the thing: it's with the same guy, Aiden Winters, who is the converted wide receiver they got playing quarterback.
They just built the whole plane out of him,
and that's a good play because he's really good.
Yeah.
He's really, really good. So you got two great quarterbacks in this one. He's a game breaker. It's hard to pick against the champs. It's hard to pick against a 30-game win streak.
It's the first time, I believe, Paradise's first trip ever to the state semifinals. Yes, first time ever. So we got all the experience in the world at Malakoff. They're also playing in the Star. That's a unique place to play. If you've never played in there before, I think it can get to you at sometimes. Malakoff's been there, done that. They've played in the Star multiple times.
Multiple times they played. Remember, they beat Brock in the semifinal last year.
It's Paradise's first trip.
I like Malakoff in this one. The computer has Malakoff, I think, by...
Say by 10.
18.
Whew. Yeah, I like Malakoff as well.
I like Malakoff, maybe not by that.
Yeah.
Okay. We will round out Thursday, Matthew. 7 o'clock Thursday night at Rice Stadium in Houston.
First playoff game at Rice.
Hoot. It's a 3 Division I
intensifies.
state semifinal matchup between the champions of Region 3, the Columbus Cardinals, and the champions of Region 4, the Edna Cowboys.
Yes.
And
the Lano Killers.
And
sorry, Pickle.
And we have...
I wasn't at the game. Sorry, Pickle.
We have in our... Right here... a classic Region 3 v. Region 4 game. This is classic Region 3 v. Region 4. The styles here, because if you don't know, 3A Division 1 Region 3 tends to be speed, explosiveness, athletes.
Sure.
Region 4 tends to be physical...
let me take a tire R&D and beat the hell out of you.
Thumping, like physical football. And you've got these two teams colliding here for a spot at AT&T Stadium. And let's start with Edna. This is their third straight state semifinal.
This is?
And like...
They're probably glad not to see Franklin.
They're probably glad not to see Franklin. But Jimmy Mitchell is... ball coaching Jack.
He's done a great job.
He's
at
an
Edna.
unbelievable
He was
job.
great at Manor before. He took Manor once into a regional final once against Shadow Creek.
Sounds right.
Me and Ish were there. Yeah, I mean he's done a great job, and he was Brent Davis's defensive coordinator at Senton back in the day when they played first state. He's been around great programs. The guy's a winner. He's won at Beeville. He's won everywhere he's been.
And it's a familiar formula. Okay, a massive offensive line, a bruising defense. And then you just snap the ball to a special player. Because Braylon Harris, special play. Capital S special.
He's their guy.
He's their guy.
He's their dude.
And they've been spectacular. You added Chase Schubert on the outside. I think he's a playmaker for them as well. This is a good, solid, thumping Edna team.
14-0.
14-0.
Very efficient.
Columbus, in a game we were really looking forward to, dethroned Franklin. It was a weird game where Columbus raced out.
Columbus raced out 35-7.
And it looked like one-way traffic.
Yeah. Franklin scores right before the half to make it 35-14. They get the ball to start the third quarter. They get the 2-for-1. They make it 35-21, and then they recover the onside kick.
Yeah.
And they score again. Like it's 35-28.
And you're thinking like little lemon booty.
Little bit of lemon booty, little pucker factor here. A little puckering up there.
So,
And then the next thing you know, it was, I think, 49-28 very quickly.
Yes.
Columbus restored order. Adam Schobel's just been ridiculous.
Adam Schobel's been unbelievable. Grayson Rigdon was healthy last week, and he looked it.
He had 3 touchdowns, over 200 yards rushing.
Running the ball really well. Braylon Fisher doesn't get the love he deserves.
He's a young sophomore receiver who's probably going to be a Division I guy, and he's benefiting greatly from having Adam Schobel.
I will say this about Columbus. For this week, and then if they win this week for next week in AT&T, their defense can be had.
For sure. Now Franklin is a slot team. They're a unique challenge, and so that's But there
have been times this year where
Columbus has been touched up. Yes. Now I think some context has to be used because some of those games are probably blowout type because Columbus has raced out to big leads all of a sudden. That's be one thing to watch. You know, kind of the Hitchcock game is kind of the one game where you really got to see King Columbus make stops in key situations.
Yes.
So, Edna, I think Edna's gotten blown out 2 straight years by Franklin. I don't think they get blown out of the water this way. I think it's a competitive game, but I just don't see any. I don't see how they slow down Schobel in
That's
that Columbus
the thing.
offense.
Is that like I think the weaponry for Columbus is too much, whereas and it just wears you down eventually. The computer actually has Edna by 2.
Interesting. I disagree.
The computer really likes Edna. I'm rolling with Columbus. I've been rolling with Columbus for a while now. I think they're your favorite in this one, but it's a fantastic game there in Houston on Rice Stadium. And that closes out Thursday.
Yeah.
It's the last Thursday night where there will be multiple games happening simultaneously. We then move.
We'll get in our football beds.
Get in our football
Put our
bed.
football onesie on.
Put our little trap door.
With the trap door in the back,
jammies,
yeah. Just in
stuff
case.
like that.
Just in case accidents, you know.
You never know. 4 o'clock. We moved to Friday. 4 o'clock.
That's right.
They're closing school in Gunner. I imagine they're closing school in Wall too.
Hell yeah. Brother,
4
let's go.
o'clock. Friday afternoon. It's a matinee
Who needs social studies class? Let's go to football. It's Texas.
at Wildcat Stadium in Abilene.
VNA, I just want to know real quick, what would you have done if you were in Lake Dallas High School and y'all were in the semifinals and they said, hey, no school, we're all going to the football game? Wouldn't you be like, this rocks?
Hold on.
I would be so pumped.
Yeah.
I'd be like, yes.
Let's go.
Everyone would be.
It is a 3A Division II state semifinal between the champions of Region 2, the Gunner Tigers, and the champions of Region 1, not Canadian.
So we have one team that we know is all Gunner, 9 straight semifinal appearances. We have Canadian who had been to 7 out of the 8, and they're out. And let me tell you, they didn't just get eliminated. They got eliminated in emphatic fashion.
They got eliminated with purpose, with intent.
Yeah. Whew. That was that.
40. They did not just dethrone Canadian. I think they sent a message that like it's about to be different around here.
It was a full blown revolution. It wasn't just a regular dethroning. It was a coup.
49-3.
Yeah.
And Landon York, Reed Robertson, and the defense, Ethan Michalowicz. I mean, thorough. And the thing about Wall, I'll keep coming back to this. The thing about Wall, they are so fast. Mm-hmm. They are fast. And
it's so weird to see Wall throwing for 348 yards. That's not the double take. Oh, 348 yards passing.
You like, Canadian has had speed, but they've never been like a team that you go, oh, that's a team that's defined by speed.
Sure.
I think you can look at Wall and say, that's the team, that's the fast team.
That's why this is a fascinating match, because Gunner's very fast. That's why this is a super fascinating match.
I think when Gunners had advantages over Canadians because they're faster than Canadian. Mm-hmm. I think the speed, I'll say this, is a push. Like, these are two teams that are going to be going at it for the 3A track title in the spring. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a promise for you. Here's Gunner for the 9th year in a row.
Hello.
Yeah. And it's the same song, different verse, man. Like, they just keep reloading.
Doesn't matter who graduates. They plug and play. They just put in guys who are fast and will strike you. Defensively, they're not super big, but they just fly around.
They fly around. They tackle well. They
gang tackle
so well.
And they get numbers to the ball.
Yes.
It's not like there's one guy in open. There's 4 guys there tackling you. They're so sound in what they do, and they believe in it, and they execute it so well.
Preston Tarpley's the new quarterback, kind of triggering the offense, and I think he's grown as the season has gone on, and he's now, a salty veteran. This is his 15th game starting.
He's also a kicker. The kicker.
He's
very, very valuable weapon in 3A football.
The defense, Luke Ballard.
That was a good holiday offense that they just dominated.
They just dominated. What else to come to expect from them in Region 2? I am fascinated by this ball game because this can, part of the Canadian Gunner thing was interesting, but both those teams had the book on each other, right? They each had the book on each other. It's like, we know your tendencies. The coaching staffs have not had a lot of turnover, and so obviously Canadian has a new head coach,
sure,
but they're the guts of it, they just promoted from within. Hasn't been a lot of turnover. Wall's a new challenger, a legit new team with a new scheme and new players, and I don't know if they know they're supposed to be scared of Gunner. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Fascinating ball game. It's hard to pick against Gunner. It's real hard to pick against Gunner. But I'm going to pick Gunner.
I'm not picking against Gunner, but I think it's going to be a very close game.
I think it's going to be a very close ball game.
Wall's performance against Canadian convinced me. I was like, okay, they're legit.
Well, but Wall is just such a different challenge, and that's what's fascinating about this. Because for Gunner, if Canadian had won last week, I would have said Gunner emphatically. Because I think this is a Canadian team that not only are they not as good as they had been the past couple of years, but Gunner has the book on them. This is a new challenge that I think the speed can really give Gunner some trouble. There have been walkovers in the semifinals. I do not think this will be one. I think it'll be a really, really good ball game. I like Gunner, though. We move to the 7 o'clock hour. 7 o'clock Friday night at McKinney ISD Stadium. It is our first 4A matchup as two teams that nobody thought would be here. The Brock Eagles take on the scrappy, pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
The underdogs from
Panola County. The Carthage Bulldogs. I'm joking, of course. A moment for Brock. Is that the most remarkable win of the year?
They went and pulled a Ganado.
They Ganadoed.
Yes.
They Ganadoed pretty hard. If you remember, in week 10, Graham beat Brock 38-0. Okay? Smushed them into a fine paste. 38-0. And 6 weeks later, Brock beats Graham 12-10 in triple overtime.
It was 10-10, and they were going to alternating 2-point conversions. It's crazy.
What?
What a performance from Brock.
Brock scored 12 points against Graham in 2 meetings, and they're into the state semifinals.
Because that defense came to play.
They absolutely did. They
adjusted.
figured some things out. And the defense has been playing. They're relentless. Asa Parento leading that defense. Been fantastic. And I crunched the numbers on this. If you take out quarterback Brody Woods is their guy at the quarterback spot. If you take out that 38-0 loss to Graham in their other 13 games, they're giving up 8.6 points per game. That would be good enough for second in scoring defense in 4A Division II, only behind Graham. Here's the issue. The actual number 2 scoring defense in 4A Division II team's going to be across the field in McKinney ISD Stadium on Friday. Is the Carthage Bulldogs.
Yeah.
Bro.
Carthage is a different animal than anything Brock's seen all year.
Carthage is a different animal than like anyone the Dallas Cowboys have seen this year.
Yeah. It's 53-7 last week.
They're shocking.
Yeah.
They're a shocking football team.
Yeah. Jet Surratt. It's like Carthage is like, this week we'll let the quarterback throw for 6 touchdowns in the first half. And the next week they're like, we'll just let KJ Edwards run wild.
KJ Edwards, Benny Smith.
They can do it all. They're just
and all of that belies the most important thing and the defining characteristic of this Carthage team. Dude, that defense
they're really good.
Is a monster. Okay? With the guy who leads there,
the Beck kid.
Clayton Ingram, and they got all sorts of Beck as well. They're big offensive line. I mean, it's a
complete football team.
Yeah. Now, okay. A note. Scott Surratt very famously 9-0 in state championship games. Semifinals have been less of a sure thing. Okay? In their last 6, Carthage is 5-1. But 4 of those were 1-score games.
Okay?
They're a little fun fact for you.
That's a little tidbit. I know the Glen Rose game was
The Glen Rose game was tight. The Lampasas game was tight.
Oh, yeah. Ace Whitehead.
They lost to Liberty Hill. They had another one.
Was it La Vega?
La Vega played them tight.
Yeah.
But I looked this up, and because I was like, okay, like they've obviously when they get to title games, they're basically unbeatable. They become like Guile in Street Fighter. They're just like unbeatable. But if you look back on it, they since 2016, China Spring they won by 6 in overtime. 2017 they won by 7 over La Vega. 2018 lost to Liberty Hill. 2019 they beat Lampasas by 7. 2020 they drilled Wimberley. 2021 they lost in the 3rd round. 2022 the Glen Rose game by 7.
Okay.
Semifinals have been a bit of a challenge point. I just don't know how Brock scores. I'm just being honest. Like, We have seen them play an elite defense in Graham, and they have scored 12 points in 2 games. They've scored 10 points in regulation, right? Mm-hmm. I'm really just not sure how Brock scores. That's my question here. Is can they move the ball against this ferocious Carthage defense? That's the question. It can happen, and Brock's defense, I think, can hold them in it. But it's going to have to be a rock fight win for them if they're going to do it.
Yeah, they can't get a shootout with Carthage.
No.
They're not going to win that.
No, but I like Carthage in this one. The computer, if you're interested,
Yeah, I like Carthage.
has this as an 11-point ball game.
Yeah,
So
I like Carthage a little bit more than that.
we move to the other 4 Division II state semifinals, 7 o'clock Friday night at Georgetown ISD Stadium. The champions of Region 3, the Pirates of La Vega,
Modoc.
taking on the champions of Region 4, again, the Wimberley Texans.
Yep.
And I fell for it. Like when it looks like Wimberley is going to be like gettable in Region 4, just like next time I say it, I just want you to hit me and just be like, "Don't."
What are you doing, stupid?
What are you doing, ding dong? Cody Stover, this is a weird thing. He just did the thing.
Yeah, he just does the Cody Stover thing.
421 yards of total offense and 5 touchdowns against a really good Sinton defense. Now, Sinton made that thing really weird and really interesting late, but that was a lot of onside kickery, a lot of crazy guy in a fight to get back in that game.
Yeah, they kind of they recovered, I think, 2 onside kicks in that.
They did.
Yeah.
That was a pretty thorough performance from Wimberley. Pretty thorough overall. Well, here comes La Vega, a team that, Region 3 we thought was really stacked, and there are a lot of really good teams. And La Vega has emerged out of there, and emerging with them is Bryson Rowland, who is ready for his close-up.
Yeah, he's been elite. He's been great since his freshman year at La Vega, but he's been on another level this year.
He plays much bigger than his size. And Caden Rowland, I haven't seen if they're related, but it's Rowland and
Probably
Bellamy.
they
My
are.
guess is they're related. He leads what's been a traditionally very strong defense. I love the coaching match in this one. I think this is there's an argument to be made. I think these are the 2 most underrated coaches in Texas high school.
Yeah,
football.
Don Hyde and Doug Warren is going to be fun, just from a strategy standpoint.
These are
Yeah.
ball coaching dudes. Can La Vega contain Stover, and can Wimberley contain Rowland? This is another game that I put in that coin flip category. Fascinated by this ball game. I'm going with Wimberley.
Okay.
I like Wimberley in a tight one. I think they've got the dude, and I wonder if Cody Stover ain't going to let them loose. There's that senior it factor at the quarterback spot.
Fair.
That might be it. But this is a coin flip type ball game, and I think we're in for a whale of a ball game.
I'm gonna go La Vega.
Okay.
I'm gonna trust Don Hyde in that defense to find a way to slow Stover down.
We know that. We know that they will cook something up defensively. He's a defensive mastermind out there. It's going to be a fantastic ball game there at Georgetown ISD Stadium. We move 7 o'clock Friday night. Let's go back out to Abilene. It's a little. You can do a little a day-night doubleheader.
You could
if you want. In
Maybe
Abilene.
I will.
We'll see. 7 o'clock Friday night at Shotwell Stadium in Abilene. It is a 4A Division I state semifinal between the champions of Region 2, the Salina Bobcats, and the champions of Region 1, the Ding Dong
Notes.
Canyon West Plains Wolves.
We say ding dong with all due respect,
We do.
because we did
do
not
that.
expect you to be here.
Correct.
We were not familiar with your game.
We
either.
were not. That is... West Plains over Stephenville is one of the all-time pedigree upsets.
Oh, 100%.
Okay?
Yeah.
You have Stephenville, one of the most decorated programs in Texas high school football history, and you have West Plains,
In their 3rd year.
who is playing like their 37th all-time game. But
West Plains did the thing.
West Plains did the thing, and they did the thing because they just kept punching. They just kept throwing punches. And Reed Macon and Slade Russell. I'll tell you this thing about, I have no doubt about this. Canyon West Plains, they got guts.
Yeah.
That is a gutty football team. And they are gonna fight you to the gates of hell.
They are going to be crazy guy in a fight. because they got nothing to lose here. No one expected them to be in this position. They're playing the number one team in the state in Salina, a team that's blown by everyone.
Yes.
And West Plains is like, no one expected us to be here. Let's just go play football and let's just throw the kitchen sink at Salina.
And it worked. And it worked. So now here's the question. Can West Plains pull what would be undisputedly the all-time pedigree double dip? Okay?
Yeah.
If you beat Stephenville and Salina in consecutive weeks as a third-year varsity program, that would be an all-time 2-week stretch.
In the regional final and state semifinals as well.
I mean, it really is. Like, because, again, a super pedigree program there in Salina. Now, Salina has looked almost invincible for a lot of this year. Almost invincible, right? For most of the season. Bo Bentley, what a player. Mm-hmm. What a player. Harrison Williams, Logan Gutierrez running the ball. That big offensive line, a rock-solid defense. The last 2 weeks, Aubrey and Alvarado have thrown for 870 yards on Salina.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Reed Macon, paging Reed Macon to the service desk. I think he's going to get his, because I think that if there is a weakness on this team, it might be through the air.
Sure, I think
in the
so.
secondary.
That's the way you attack Salina. Agree.
The path, I want to be clear. I think Salina's your favorite.
Mm-hmm.
The path is there, and the path is a shootout. Drag them into just a haymaker competition.
49-42 kind of.
Get going, because just keep throwing big plays at them.
Yeah.
I don't think Salina lets it get there. I think Salina's defense makes plays. And
Kind of like, I think it'll be similar to last week. Alvarado hung around. It was 21-21 at the half, and then the magic just ran out.
Yeah.
Salina made some adjustments, and they just kind of sat on them a little bit. And I think I think West Plains is dynamic enough to keep it close for a half, but I think the second half, Salina just kind of wears on you.
that's kind of where I'm at on it as well. But it is a remarkable game. Like from a pedigree perspective, it's a crazy game. And West Plains is house money. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Everything you got. It'll be a fascinating ball game out there in Abilene. That's one 4A Division I state semifinal. We go to the other one, 7 o'clock Friday night at Randall Reed Stadium in New Caney. It is the 4A Division I state championship game, state semifinal, between the Kilgore Bulldogs and the champions of Region 4, the Bears of Lavernia, who avenge a district loss to Bay City. And it was kind of a convincing, if I remember correctly.
42-24.
Like they won convincingly.
So they've beaten the last 3 weeks Austin LBJ. Mm-hmm. They avenged a regular season loss to Calhoun in a very close game.
Yep.
And then they avenged another regular season loss to Bay City and dominated Bay City. It's like they're getting better.
They are getting better.
Yeah.
And here's what's interesting to me about Lavernia. The running game is going to get a lot of the headlines, and understandably so. Sean Garza and Keegan Hayek have been terrific for them, that big offensive line. But I think it's the defense that's the difference. That's what's grown. The difference between the first game against Bay City and the second game against Bay City has been their defense. The reason they beat LBJ was that their defense played super well. The reason they avenged the loss to Calhoun is because their defense played super well. Third place, Lavernia, is in a state semifinal against Kilgore, a team that got their own kind of monkey off their back last week. Because as much as Chapel Hill and Kilgore have played, Chapel Hill's had Kilgore's number in the playoffs.
Yeah, 3 straight years. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they finally pushed through. And
pretty convincingly as well.
And I'll just tell you, man, I went back and I watched a decent amount of this game. And you've been telling me for a couple of months now, you've been saying, dude, this Kilgore front 7 is freaky. Mm-hmm. I would like to subscribe to your newsletter.
Thank you. They are large children who are very fast and play with a disposition that is not kind.
No. Wiley Mitchell, Jackson Tucker Phillips, they're deep.
Yeah.
They roll deep. They play angry football. And that, to
Raging
me,
Red fits.
Here's the thing. That's the money matchup here. Can Lavernia run the ball, plain and simple, against this Kilgore team? That's it. To me, that's the whole ball game. If the answer is no, it is hard to find a way for Lavernia to win that game, right? I don't think Lavernia don't want to throw the ball 40 times. They can throw the ball a little bit. They don't want to throw the ball 40 times. They have to run the ball, and Kilgore's defensive front has been excellent.
Yeah,
excellent.
That matchup,
against
Lavernia O-line, Kilgore D-line. That's your
money. That's your money matchup, and that's the ball game. The other question for Lavernia is can they contain Jaden Sanders?
Yeah, Kilgore's going to be a lot faster. They're going to be the fastest team. Bay City's very fast.
Yes.
Kilgore's at a different level.
Yes.
That's the fastest team. And LBJ is very fast. I think Kilgore and LBJ's speed will be similar, but Kilgore combines that speed with incredible physicality.
That's what I think is probably the difference. The computer has this as Kilgore by 11. I like Kilgore. There is a path for Lavernia, but it has to go through the running game. They cannot, again, that's their ball game. That's their style. And then, but I think if they can, the other thing is that can that defense, this is a Kilgore offense that doesn't it's not going to hang 60 on you. You know what I mean? It's a good offense, but it's not some sort of world-beating, game-breaking offense that's going to put 55 on you. If Lavernia can hang around, they've got a shot. Mm-hmm. But it's got to start with the running game. And I think Kilgore's front seven is probably the difference in this ball game. I like Kilgore. I think we were probably always going to go with Region 3 over Region 4. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, usually, all things being equal, we go Region 3 over 4.
That would be right now in 4A Division 1 the way it's set up. So I like Kilgore in a close one. We move 7 o'clock Friday night at Ford Stadium in Dallas. That's SMU, by the way. Mm-hmm. I think somebody asked you, they were like, Ford Stadium's SMU, right? It's yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, why did you just say SMU? It's we have a style, the AP likes a certain style. And stuff like that. Anyway.
And we're a statewide outlet. We got to give all that stuff.
As the it's an all DFW clash. As the champions of Region 1, the Argyle Eagles take on the champions of Region 2 for the 4th consecutive year. The Golden Bears of South Oak Cliff. I guess this is the moment where we talk about South Oak Cliff and P&G.
Yeah.
There's no two ways about it. They just kicked their rear end 6 ways from Sunday.
Yeah.
There's just not a... They were just a lot better.
They were a lot better, and they were highly motivated, and it was from the jump. They returned the opening kickoff to the 3-yard line, scored 7-0. P&G's second play on the offense, they got an interception. A minute and a half of the game, it's 14-0. And really, it was over after that. P&G made a couple of, cut it to 7 a couple times, but they just...
It was an avalanche.
I'll tell you what, South Oak Cliff, the offensive and defensive lines are elite. The running game is good. I think Carter Kopecki, his development as a quarterback and as a passer has been tremendous.
He's grown so much, and he's given them that element that, basically... Last year, and I think you can... Basically, since Kevin Jennings left, then Kevin Henry Jennings... Mm-hmm. When Kevin Jennings left, they have been looking for an answer at quarterback. They've been looking for that threat to throw the ball. They haven't been able to really do it. They've been so reliant on the run game. And Carter Kopecki, I'm not here to tell you that Carter Kopecki is like Keelan Russell. Mm-hmm. I'm here to tell you he is a rock-solid quarterback. And with the team around him, that's enough. That's more than enough. Yeah. You just need a guy who can go out there and challenge defenses.
Yeah. He's done that. He challenges defenses with his arm and his legs. Mm-hmm. He's really athletic. He gets out in a pinch. He'll get out and run.
Yep.
He's really operating. I mean, really, also, like I said, South Oak Cliff really just needs a bus driver. He's a lot more than a bus driver.
Absolutely.
And he's doing a great job.
But they run the ball with Mikhail Trotter, and then, let me put it to you this way. The headline matchup last week was the South Oak Cliff defensive front against the Port Neches Groves offensive line, and South Oak Cliff won that matchup pretty resoundingly.
Convincingly, yeah.
I pose to you, Matt Stepp, isn't this week a similar question? Because the Argyle offensive line is also excellent.
Yes, they're bigger than PNG's offensive line across the board. I don't know if they're as good as a unit as PNG is. PNG's offensive line as a unit works great together. I think Argyle individually may be more talented, but I don't know if they work as well as a unit. And I also think their style is different. Argyle, PNG's a downhill running team. Argyle's going to be in the those guys are going to be more pass pro type guys, that kind of thing. So I look at Argyle as a more athletic, better defensive version of PNG. They're definitely more athletic at skill. Argyle's got some dynamic skill players. They got really
McGuire Gasperson, their quarterback's a
Julian
dog.
Caldwell outside. They've got some playmakers,
and they can run the ball with Weston Bell. I mean, Todd Rogers is doing that thing again. You know what I mean? That they look like a complete team. The defense looked spectacular last week against Lovejoy. I think they got Lovejoy. I'm not here to make excuses. They body bagged Lovejoy.
They forced 5 turnovers. That was
forced
the key.
5 turnovers. I think the weather certainly didn't help Lovejoy, but also give credit to Argyle for pouncing on those mistakes and for going at it. I think there's 2 things. One, there's 2 big questions. First question: can Argyle put together another sensational defensive effort? They'll need another sensational defensive effort. And question 2, can South Oak Cliff refocus after what was, I think, a pretty emotional win? I think there's a head game here too.
Sure.
Because PNG was this big looming monster. It's like we just want another shot at them. Well, you got it and you moved on. And now you've got a team coming to your kitchen
that's as good, if not better.
Absolutely beat you.
Yeah. South Oak Cliff can't let the PNG game. They got that's not they can't be their Super Bowl.
No.
They got now. There's pedigree. There's history here. When South Oak Cliff won their first state title, they beat Aledo in the 3rd round, and then the 4th round they played a really good Lovejoy team. And I sat here and I said I picked Lovejoy that night because I thought South Oak Cliff. I wasn't sure if they could do it again.
Yep.
And they did it and then some.
Yep.
I believe in I think the coaching staff will have them ready. I think they'll be ready to go, and I think Argyle will keep it closer, much closer. I think it's gonna be a very competitive game. But I like South Oak Cliff.
Computer's guys to pick them.
Really. I like South Oak Cliff.
I like South Oak Cliff, but don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if we're talking about a super tight game in the 4th quarter.
Sure.
Because Argyle can hang. They can absolutely hang. Fabulous ball game. We move 7 o'clock Friday night at McLean Stadium in Waco.
Big weekend at Baylor.
Another 5A Division II state semifinal. The other one, I should say. As the champions of Region 3 by the hair on their chinny chin chin, the Randall Lions out of Lamar Consolidated ISD take on the champions of Region 4, the Greyhounds of Bernie, who win Region 4 again. And
again, but this time in 5A.
This time in 5A. They make the move up.
Yeah.
And doing that thing, they zoom past Corpus Christi Miller.
Yeah, they put up like 650 yards of offense.
They win 65-50.
They hit their free throws down the stretch.
They did. They absolutely did. They got hot from 3. These 2 teams played 2 very different regional finals. Because that was a 65-50, just like throw haymakers back and forth. Who's going to have the ball last? While Randall, a rematch with Iowa Colony, you were there.
It was a total rock fight.
And 14-14 at half, 14-14 end of regulation, and then Richmond Randall wins it in overtime. Okay. Forget everything.
All right, cancel the show.
Cancel the show. I think this is the premier strength-on-strength matchup in all of the state semifinals.
Interesting, okay.
Right here. Because you've got this Bernie flamethrower offense, okay? Hank Hendricks, Adam Hicks, playmaking dudes. All of Hudson Hendricks, playmaking dudes. Just got done hanging 650 yards on Miller against the only UIL 11-man team to not surrender more than 14 points in a game this year.
Yes.
In the Randall Lions. With Chase Sims, the A&M signee.
He's unbelievable.
Up front. That is the money matchup. Okay? Randall defense, Bernie offense. Oh my God! Box office.
Randall's got a defensive lineman next to Chase Sims named Jalen Jones, who's like 5'10", 240, so not prototype size. All he does is mess stuff up for the offense. He is always in the backfield causing havoc. That dude's a ball-playing jack.
Disruptive. Can I tell? Well, I want to hear what you have to say. Because
Landon Williams-Callis has not. The last couple weeks has been bottled up. I think he's going to break out this week. And I just trust the Randall defense here. I trust Randall's defense.
The issue I see for Bernie is the other side. Because this is a Bernie defense that has had trouble slowing down explosive playmakers. Mm-hmm. And let me tell you something. Randall's got a couple of explosive playmakers.
Oh, yeah.
Most notably Williams-Callis. Yeah. But they got other dudes. Their receiver core is very strong.
Keelan Sweeney's really good. They put him at quarterback, snap him the ball. Mm-hmm. They got a receiver, Monalongo, who's really good. Like, they've got dudes out.
They've got dudes all over the field. And that is, to me, that's the trouble point for Bernie when you take a look at this. I worry that they're not going to be able to come up. Like, forget score for score. I worry that they're not going to be able to go stop for stop. I do think that this is the week that somebody scores more than 14 points on Randall. But I'm not sure it's enough. I've got this as like 35-21, Randall. That sound about right to you?
No. I don't think Bernie's scoring 21.
Really? Mm-mm. You like this Randall defense a lot. I mean, Iowa Colony's explosive, and they held them to 14.
35-14.
Okay.
I'll go 35-14. Okay.
We move to 5A Division I, 7 o'clock Friday night at the Ford Center. The Star.
The Star. 2 games at the Star this weekend.
It's a 5A Division I state semifinal between the champions of Region 1, the Denton Ryan Raiders, and the champions of Region 2.
Picked by me.
And the champions of Region 2.
Smart guy right here.
The Highland Park Scots. I mean, look, Ryan did the thing. They did it. They actually did it. I didn't think we'd ever see it. I'll be honest. I just think that Ryan was going to go into that bucket of teams that Alito just has their number. Mm-hmm. But sure enough, what it was, Ryan's been close. Mm-hmm. I mentioned this on TFT.
Several times.
Ryan's been close several times. And I think if you went to Dave Hennigan, he'd say, the problem is we played 40 minutes of Ryan football. We played 38 minutes of Ryan football. We played 44 minutes of Ryan football. They went out and they played 48 minutes of Ryan football, and they came away with a win.
I do think the elements helped them. Ryan was built for that kind of game.
Yes.
They are big, physical, and will punch you in the face. Mm-hmm. I thought, though, I got to give Ryan credit. They were down 21-10 third quarter, and I thought, oh, here we go. Alito's going to run away with it. And Ryan came back and threw a couple of haymakers. The defense started playing well. They were down 21-10, and Quinn Hennigan threw an 80-yard touchdown pass to Trevon Reynolds, and it completely flipped again. The Ryan sideline lit up, and they were fired up. They were having fun. Alito, at the end of the game, looked like they didn't want to be out there.
Wow.
And you don't usually see that from Alito. No. They looked like they were done. And credit to Ryan.
They wore him down.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen to Alito.
No, it was really impressive.
It's just absolutely remarkable. Nemo Warmate, their running back, is strong. Defense made big plays. Spectacular.
That big offensive line with Ty Haywood and the Garcia kid. They're studs.
So here's Highland Park. It's a team, 2 teams that are programs that are intimately familiar with one another. There is a high school football fan of a little bit of a bygone era who remembers Highland Park versus Ryan very fondly.
I remember Highland Park having Ryan's number.
Correct.
Spencer Sanders couldn't beat Highland Park.
Couldn't beat like one of the great players in Ryan history. Just couldn't find a way to play SHP. Highland Park. This is going to stun you guys. I saw them last week when they played Lone Star. They are just rock freaking solid across the board. There is not a superstar on this team. The closest thing they have is their sophomore quarterback, Buck Randall. First of all, great name.
Yeah.
Secondly, we are putting him on dog watch. Okay. Might be upgraded to a dog
Randall,
warning.
we're watching you.
Might be upgraded to dog warning.
Okay. All right.
This dude, he can play. He had 2 bad interceptions in that game in the first quarter, but then he settled in and he took command of that offense, and they scheme it so well. And the other thing, I know I'm a broken record about Highland Park, Buddy, the blocking and the tackling. The game is about blocking and
They're
tackling.
just sound.
And there's just no team in Texas that blocks and tackles like Highland Park.
And they're more athletic than you think. They got some twitchy guys.
Uh-huh.
They got some kids, some really athletic kids. They're a good football team. Now, one concern I have about this game, when Lone Star kind of got in their heavy stuff last week, they were able to mash Highland Park a little bit.
They ran Carice Hoyt a lot.
And you don't think Denton Ryan can get heavy and mash? I think Denton Ryan's going to test them. They're going to get in their heavy packages. We're going to put Reynolds in, Warmate in the backfield, get behind those big hog mollies in the offensive line, and they're going to run right at Highland Park and see if they can make it happen. So that's the key matchup.
I think that's the key matchup. This is also, can Ryan force Highland Park into mistakes and make them chase? That's it. I think both these teams need to play from ahead. Both of them. That's not to say they fall behind, you're dead, but I think that the game changes for both teams when they're ahead. And they can kind of put you in the sleeper. I'm going with Highland Park. I'm going with HP.
Hard to pick against HP.
It's hard to pick against HP.
Yeah.
I think they come away with a narrow win.
I'm going Denton Ryan.
I knew you were. I knew you were, man.
I'm sticking with them. I've been on. They made me look really smart picking them over Alito. Alito, Twitter and Facebook hated me for a few days, but then, I reminded them Saturday after the game that
did the little Hulk Hogan.
Yeah. Reminded them a little bit. Yeah. And look, no one else is gonna. They weren't gonna admit that I was right, so I just had to remind them that hey, I ended up being right that time. So.
It's a fascinating ball game, coin flippy type game. Yeah. The computer.
I don't make a habit of picking against Highland Park.
No,
you won't you won't win a lot of pick'ems if you do that.
No,
but
don't make a habit of picking against Alito and Highland Park and just
yeah.
short. Computer's got Ryan by 4. Computer agrees with you.
All right.
Fascinating ball game. We move, staying in the 7 o'clock hour.
We're going to Saturday.
No, that rounds out Friday. That closed up Friday.
We're headed to Saturday.
Putting on our football jammies.
We got five games on Saturday.
To Saturday we go. 2 o'clock Saturday afternoon at SMU at Ford Stadium in Dallas. It is a sea of green descending upon
There's
SMU.
going to be a lot of green there.
The champions of Region 1, the South Lake Carroll Dragons, take on the champions of Region 2. It's going to be green either way. But the Longview freaking Lobos. One
of the most shocking results that I've seen in quite some time last week.
Yeah.
Not only, it would have shocked me if they would have beat DeSoto. Like, DeSoto was a big favorite. Two-time defending state champs. Longview, good, but Longview only beat Naaman Forest by 10 in the first round of playoffs. It should have lost to Lancaster in the area round. I would have been shocked if Longview won by a point. Well, they decided to win by 35 more than one. As they destroyed DeSoto 50-14. It was shocking.
It's a shocking result.
Yeah.
It is a surprise that Longview won. It is a shock that they won by 36.
Boosie Washington had a huge game, and DeSoto just could not stop the run.
Boosie Washington, Longview got into 21 and 12 personnel and just said, you want to go?
Yeah, and DeSoto did not want any of it. I talked to a coach who went back and basically scouted the game off of YouTube, and he goes, because he just wanted to see. Longview ran John King in the most John King thing ever, ran power 34 times. It's the most.
Hell yeah.
Do you remember at State 707 when I called him and I said, hey, coach, I said, you're not out here? And he goes, no, I'm out here fishing in Louisiana somewhere. And I said, you're not at 707 because you can't run power.
Yeah.
And he goes, it would work. Well, it worked.
It worked
34 times.
Can I ask you a question?
He's just going to keep. I can just see John King on the sideline going, well, we got 9 yards on it. Let's run it again, boys. And they ran it again.
Yeah. Let's go power left.
Yeah, they just ran power 34 times.
Is Boosie Washington the most dangerous player in Texas high school ball right now?
So, I'm a Boosie Washington guy, and can I pull the curtain back a little?
Yeah.
We had some debates about Mr. Texas football and talking about who we thought our finalists would be, and
Boosie was in the top 15, and we had about 2 spots left,
and I stood on the table for him, and I feel pretty good about it at this point.
He goes 298 and 5 touchdowns, and also give them credit. The defense played basically flawlessly.
Yeah, they were not as big as DeSoto, but they got after it and played the run tough, and they played Longview football.
They did.
Yeah.
Well, now can they play Longview football against another team in green from DFW, the South Lake Carroll Dragons. And what I love about this game, if you're like a helmet matchup guy, like
Great
you want to see
helmet
two just like classic
Classics.
high school football teams, you got it here.
The Rock and L and the Carroll Dragons.
And South Lake Carroll, I think South Lake Carroll being here is a surprise. It's not as much of a surprise as Longview, and it's a different kind of surprise. It's not a surprise that they're here because they're not good. It's a surprise that they're here because they're so banged up.
They've battled through a lot.
Yes.
They really have, and they've found a way to win sometimes, and they found a way to win last week. Special teams. They pounced on Geyer's special teams miscues and made them pay for each and every one. And they've had to reinvent themselves in the fly. The beginning of the year, they were a run-heavy team with Riley Wormley, Davis Penn. Well, both those guys are gone, and they've had to depend on Angelo Renda and the passing game to get things done, and they've reinvented themselves on the fly and been very, very successful. And I think they're going to be a big challenge for Longview, because typically when Longview's defense has struggled, it's been against teams who can throw the ball around. And that's the kind of challenge that South Lake now presents them.
Yes, because South Lake, Angelo Renda, their quarterback, they have needed other playmakers to step up, and he has worn the cape for them.
Yeah.
He's been
Brock
excellent.
Boyd, the receivers committed to TCU.
Yeah.
Huge, yeah.
I think it's a game determined by like mistakes. It's a game determined by like who turns it over, who gives the team a short field, who does that. And furthermore, this is another game where who imposes their will. If Longview goes out there, I'll just say this. I think if Longview plays clean, I think they win.
Yeah.
I think if Longview plays clean, I think they win. I think they control the clock. I think they come up with enough stops on the defensive side to win the game. If the turnover margin is even +1 South Lake Carroll, I think Carroll's a clear favorite in this game, in my opinion. Because Carroll, you're right, the matchup here is Carroll's had a little bit of trouble slowing down the run, but Longview's had a little bit of trouble slowing down the pass. There are going to be plays to be made here. And it's going to come down to who can hold on to the football, who can have fewer mistakes. I'm going to ride the hot hand, man. I think Longview's I think the 903 is coming to AT&T Stadium.
We disagree on this one too. I'm going to go with South Lake. I think they'll be prepared to slow Longview down. They're going to make the sophomore quarterback at Longview, Johnny Hamilton. They're going to try to make him throw the ball, and I think Longview's defense won't be able to hold up. So
I think we'll find out. 2:00 Saturday. It's a great game. 6A division or 5A division. No, 6A division 2. I'm so used to saying Longview and 5A. 6A division 2 state semifinal. We stay at 2:00, but we go to Houston. 2:00 Saturday afternoon at Legacy Stadium in Katy. It is a 6A Division I state semifinal between the champions of Region 3, the North Shore Mustangs, and the champions of Region 4, the Westlake Chaparrals. Reunited, and it feels so good.
Yeah, fourth time in the past 5 years these two teams have played.
Two teams are very familiar with one another. North Shore has won 3 of the 4?
2 out of 3.
2 out of 3. 2 out of 3. And both of them beat district rivals for a second time last week.
Very different ways, though.
One of them. Start with Westlake. Westlake basically beat Lake Travis twice the same way.
Yeah, it was kind of the same kind of game. And just
kind of low scoring, win on the margins, defense and special teams, come up with plays. Reese Wise hit through a couple big-time clutch plays, and the defense led by Elliott Shaper.
Forced 3 turnovers. Shaper had 2 interceptions, too.
I think I'm ready to declare Elliott Shaper like my favorite defensive player.
I think he's the best high school defensive football player in the state of Texas.
He's so good and so fun to watch. He was spectacular. North Shore played Atascocita again, and they beat him for the 10th straight time. The 10th straight time.
As good as Atascocita is, they just cannot beat North Shore.
And I think they did it very differently because the offense really blossomed. And a lot of what happened is that they let Caleb Bailey cook on the ground. They unleashed him. And Atascocita had no answer to him running the ball.
North Shore ran for 400 yards. A lot of it, Caleb Bailey, 272. He took care of the football. He had 1 interception
in first quarter
early in the game. Other than that, he took care of the football. And Atascocita just couldn't get stops. And offensively, they struggled on short yardage. I think
They did.
North Shore stopped them on 4th down 3 times.
Including like 4th and 1 like twice.
Yeah, one of the touchdowns that Tascasita had was a kickoff return by Torrey Blaylock. So they struggled on offense. North Shore completely shut them down. In my opinion, I thought North Shore beating Summer Creek was their best game of the year. They beat North Shore. If you start looking at North Shore's resume, 2 wins over Westlake. Two wins over Atascocita, who beat Westlake, by the way.
Over Summer Creek.
A dominant win over Summer Creek. A dominant win over Ridge Point. Like, that's pretty.
I'll go further. A dominant win over
South Oak Cliff.
South Oak Cliff.
Yeah.
A dominant win over Kingwood. Like, start adding it up.
Yeah.
Start stacking it up.
The resume is pretty strong.
So, I think the difference in this ball game is the North Shore defense.
They've been great this year.
They've been spectacular, and Westlake if this game gets above 24 points, I am like, if North Shore scores more than 24 points, I am not sure how Westlake wins this ball game.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at on it. Westlake has got to win a game like 20-17. Like they won in 2020. If you go back to that game, right?
Was that game?
Yeah. They won that game in just like a on the margins, low scoring, 20-17.
Yeah.
A low scoring, on the margins, win in special teams and defense type way. I do not think you can go out there and expect Westlake to go out there and hang 30 plus on North Shore, because I just don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't think they've got the firepower to get past what has been an elite defense.
Last year's game was that kind of game. It
Yeah.
was really low scoring, and kind of game Westlake won.
Yeah.
Yet North Shore last year beat Westlake kind of at their own game. It was 23-14.
And do we agree that North Shore is better this year?
I think North Shore's a lot better this year.
It's kind of where I'm at. I like North Shore in this one.
Yeah.
I think that the depth of talent offensively gets in the win.
Yeah, you got Quanell Farrakhan, you got Deion DeBlanc, you got
DeAndre
Hardiman, you got Cameron Smith.
Yep.
North Shore's got 3 D1 receivers, a D1 running back, a big-time quarterback, and a much better offensive line. They're loaded.
Yeah. And I just think for Westlake, they have got to drag them into their kind of game. Anything else, and North Shore's your clear favorite in that game.
Agree.
So, there you go. We move to 2:30. 2:30 p.m. Saturday afternoon at McLean Stadium in Waco. It is a 5A Division I state semifinal. It's Houston versus San Antonio.
Mm-hmm.
The final San Antonio team standing?
Bernie.
Bernie, that's right.
Yeah. And Lavernia.
In Lavernia, that's right. Yeah. As the Angleton Wildcats take on the Smithson Valley Rangers. Here's a fun fact. I've picked against Angleton every week. All 4 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? They're in the semifinals. Isn't that a fun fact? Thanks, Community Coffee.
Mm-hmm. I think Jason Britton's got like a picture of you in their field house, and they're throwing darts at it.
They did it again last week, man.
Talk about a rock fight.
They can't keep getting away with it.
Yeah.
They did it again. A gutty defensive performance, a grinding running game with Jamarcus Shockley, and just some timely big boy plays from Bryce Duran, their quarterback, and Wesley Jackson.
Sophomore wide receiver was big in the fourth quarter. Yeah.
And
their kicker, Ivan Rodriguez, he was 3 for 3 on field goals. He made some clutch kicks.
Pudge,
yeah.
I presume that it's the former Rangers.
They call him Pudge, yeah.
That's a good question. Spectacular. Here comes Smithson Valley, who's anxious to get back to a title game. Kate Spradling.
What a game he had.
Is that dude.
He had an unbelievable game Saturday.
And then they've got a running back whose name escapes me at the moment.
Not De Hoyos. There's 2. De Hoyos is one of them. So let me tell you what Spradling did last week. He threw for 110 yards and 2 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. He ran for 105 yards and 2 touchdowns. And just for funsies, he played defense and had an 84-yard interception return for a touchdown.
As you do.
They dominated Flower Bluff 49-14.
A really good Flower Bluff team.
Yeah.
Brad Sowersby is the running back.
Sowersby, yeah.
Sowersby. He's a dog. And it was a defense that feasted on turnovers.
Yeah.
Feasted.
Mm-hmm.
They pounced on your mistakes.
Yeah. They had 2 Spradling and another guy, they returned 2 interceptions for touchdowns.
And that's kind of the thing in this one. Angleton's got to play clean. They got to play clean in this ballgame.
And they typically do. Their style lends them to play that kind of clean football. They're not they used to be wing T. They're not wing T anymore, but they still are very physical, They want to run the ball. I think the key here for Angleton though is handling the moment.
Yes.
This is now it helps. They played at NRG last week. There was a big crowd. Angleton and LaPorte both traveled, so they got that new environment at Baylor. Smithson Valley's been there, state runner-up last year. But I think Angleton needs to accentuate their edges, which I think their big edge is team speed.
Yes.
They're going to have a big advantage over Smithson Valley at the skill positions. And can they get those guys loose in space?
I'm done picking against Angleton. The long national nightmare is over. I'm done. I'm convinced.
All right.
I'm convinced.
I'm going Angleton too.
I think the speed. I think the defense. I think Angleton can do it. I think a team that I picked to lose in the first round
It's going to be an ACC
to Weiss.
team.
Remember they played Weiss in the opener.
And they almost
yeah. I mean, they've won on the margins.
Angleton, I want to say
They've won on the margins.
Hang on. Here,
you're going to look up.
You want a fun fact for it? You want a fun fact?
Here's a fun fact.
As I pull up Angleton's schedule, I heard this Saturday, and I just want to confirm. As Angleton, they have played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They have played 6 straight one-score games.
They've won them all.
No, they're 5-1. They lost to LaPorte, but they've won 5 in a row.
5 in a row.
13-8 over Crosby, 35-28 over Weiss, 36-29 over Port Arthur Memorial, 35-34 over College Station, 24-21 over LaPorte. And the one they lost was 35-28 to LaPorte.
There's a little
bit of magic there.
Little magic. I'm buying in. I'm in on Angleton. Very late.
Late to the party.
I am buying stock at the peak.
Brazoria County, he's late, but better late than never.
But I'm here.
Yep. I'm going Angleton also.
I like Angleton,
Yeah.
man. I think they're the team. I think they've got a little destiny in them. There's only
2 games.
2 games left. 3:00 Saturday afternoon at Eagle Stadium in Allen is a 6A Division I state semifinal.
A rematch from last year.
The other matchup of unbeatens across the state of Texas. It's this and Stamford and Hamilton, 2 very similar football games. As the champions of Region 1, the North Crowley Panthers, take on the champions of Region 2, the Duncanville Panthers, in what can only be described as Judgment Day in 6A Division 1 in DFW. Mm-hmm. In 6A in DFW.
Yeah, you got Fort Worth's best team against Dallas's best team.
Yep. This is it. And
loaded with both teams. I mean, if you're a prospect hound,
this is it.
This is North Crowley signed 9 guys to Division I scholarships last week.
Cool.
9. It's crazy.
Shocking.
Yeah.
And you can tell. I'll say this. I think North Crowley has been anxious for another shot at Duncanville.
100%.
Because last year, let's be real, they got their pants pulled down.
Yeah, they were not ready.
And Duncanville spanked their bare bottom in front of the world.
They were not ready. Duncanville big boyed them. They bossed them and said, "You're not ready for this kind of football."
Yeah.
And I think North Crowley has been stewing over that for 3. Kind of like Southwood Cliff stewed over the PNG loss for 365 days. North Crowley has been stewing over that Duncanville game.
Yeah.
And North Crowley has taken steps to try to alleviate Duncanville's big advantages. And the biggest advantage Duncanville had last year with North Crowley was North Crowley could not stop the run, and North Crowley could not run the football.
Correct.
Now, part of that advantage has been mitigated because Caden Durham's the starting running back at LSU now.
Yes.
And Duncanville's not near as efficient
They're
running the
a
football.
good running team. They're not an incredible running team like they were last year.
But North Crowley, with that big offensive line, with Henry Fanuku, the Missouri commit, John Turrentine Jr., the 5-star, Ian Carter, a division, they're loaded up front, and they've got not 1, not 2, but 3 really good running backs. 2 seniors in Cornelius Warren, the UNLV commit, Daniel Bray, the Utah signee. Warren's also a signee. They got a sophomore, Keontae Ingram, who's going to be really good. Who's kind of their thunder, their
Not
pounder.
Carthage Keontae Ingram.
No, another Keontae Ingram.
Can I tell you?
Spelled differently.
We got those highlights on Scoreboard on Saturday night. I said, "There's no way that's right," because it's like there's not another great running back named Keontae Ingram.
There is,
but there is apparently.
He's the thumper. He's the big physical back. Bray is kind of the combination, where Warren is the speedster. So North Crowley, I think they know that if you're going to beat Duncanville, you've got to bring the fight to them. You've got to bully the bully.
Yeah.
You've got to go to Duncanville, and that's what DeSoto did last. When DeSoto beat Duncanville, they finally said, "We've had enough. We are going to run the football. We are going to inside zone you to death, and we are going to run. And I think North Crowley is going to use a similar game. They are going to try to tempo Duncanville's defense with the run game and try to run the ball behind that big offensive line. And I think they are better equipped to do that this year than they were last year.
Now,
And Duncanville doesn't have Colin Simmons and Alex January,
Correct.
who are at the University of Texas now. They're still really good. KJ Ford's a really good defensive lineman, but I don't think they're quite as good on the defensive front seven as they were a year
so,
ago.
and here's the other thing, is that for Duncanville, this is a team that the two-time defending state champs, they have not looked like a juggernaut the last 2 weeks.
No.
Against
Bridgeland had a running back go for, I think, almost 300 yards rushing last week.
Bridgeland was able to move the ball, but here's the thing. It's the one weird trick to win a football game is have an Alabama signee at quarterback and an Oregon signee at wide receiver.
They may have the best quarterback and best wide receiver individually in the country.
Correct.
And it's hard to stop. And then they've also got Theus and Turner and, the kid that transferred in from Arlington Lamar, the young kid. They got 4 guys.
They got dudes.
Yeah, they got
dudes.
a lot of. And Keelan Russell is a dealer back there. That's hard to stop.
It is.
And I think what a funny matchup I'm going to watch also is North Crowley. They've struggled throwing the ball the last 2 weeks. Now, last week the rain,
the weather, and they didn't really want to.
Yeah, but I think Duncanville is going to. Decoria Moore has played some defense. I think Duncanville is going to put Decoria Moore on Quentin Gibson
Hot.
and just say, go take him out of the game. And I think Decoria Moore is capable of doing it. Now, it's going to be a fun matchup. We're going to see. And I think that's going to be something to keep an eye on as well. How much does Duncanville use Decoria on deep? Because Duncanville's secondary is really good.
So here's
The Holly kid, and they've got playmakers.
when you are trying to beat a two-time defending state champ, it is the onus is on
Not the anus.
the onus is on North Crowley.
It's an inside joke. If you're a
on
fan of the
North
ticket,
Crowley to answer questions.
Yeah.
And here are the questions that I have. Can they hit big plays? Can they run the ball? Can they match up defensively with Moore? And can they pressure Keelan Russell? They got to answer at least 3 of those 4 questions in the affirmative to do it.
I think you're better off trying to get pressure on Russell than you are trying. North Crowley's got the Fulbright kid is an Oklahoma State commit. He's a really good corner, but Decoria Moore's a different animal.
He's a 5-star receiver.
Decoria Moore could walk into any right now. He could walk onto Oregon's roster and be a starter this year.
Yes,
as a senior,
Yes.
He's that good.
Correct.
I don't know if I was North Crowley. Now, I think I know what North Crowley is going to do. I think they're going to try to dare Duncanville to run the football. I think they are going to play cat and mouse. They're going to show Duncanville a light box, and they're going to give Duncanville 5-man boxes, and they're going to see if the play caller is patient enough to run, or if they're going to abandon it and try to throw into numbers. The problem is Decoria Moore is that good and Keelan Russell's that good. They can
Correct.
throw in the numbers. If I was North Crowley, I would take Fulbright. I would do the old San Francisco 49ers tactic when they had Deion Sanders. Is when they played the Cowboys, they put Deion Sanders, they didn't put him on Michael Irvin. They put him on Alvin Harper and just said, you take Alvin Harper out of the game.
Yeah.
We're going to put our number 2 corner on Michael Irvin and then put our safety, which was Merton Hanks, over the top and take away Michael Irvin. And it worked. If I was North Crowley, that's what I would do. But I'm not a coach. I'm just an idiot with a microphone.
True enough. I have been on the North Crowley bandwagon all year, basically since they beat DeSoto, and I ain't hopping off. I'm gonna ride or die.
This game's live on Texan Live. By the way.
I'm either gonna ride this thing to glory to Arlington, or I am going to steer it into a ditch.
Okay,
but I'm gonna ride with North Crowley. I think they can do it. I think they are built. They're on that there's a very, very short list of teams that can go toe-to-toe with Duncanville and North Shore. And I think North Crowley's on that list.
Okay.
Yes,
I'll
thank
Texan
you.
Live, yeah. I'm going to go Champions Advantage and go Duncanville, but I think it's going to be a great ball game. I think it's going to be a much closer ball game, very competitive all the way through. Just can't pick against the champs.
There's one last game. There's one Saturday night game.
Makes Tepper mad.
As somebody who's got to put together a state championship preview, 7 o'clock Saturday night at McLean Stadium in Waco.
Doubleheader.
It is the final ticket to AT&T Stadium to be punched. The 6A Division II state semifinal between the champions of Region 3, the Humble Summer Creek Bulldogs, and the champions of Region 4, the Vandegrift Vipers.
Live on Texan Live.
And both teams have, I think, let me set
These are the last 2 6A Division II runner-ups.
I think both teams have every reason to believe that they're the team of destiny, that they're the team that should be here. For Summer Creek, They've emerged from the state's toughest district, not an opinion,
No, it's a fact.
including beating Kingwood like a drum twice.
Yeah, boy, last week that was whew,
And they've got
51-7.
They've got the dude at quarterback in Blake Thomas.
He's playing so well. He's made. I talked about after I watched them beat Katie Jordan in the third round. He's made such big strides. He's unbelievable.
Vandegrift is winners of 12 straight after dropping game 2 to Dripping Springs.
Was it Drip?
Or
Cedar Park.
You're right.
They
I
beat
keep getting
Drip.
that wrong.
Yeah.
So a coach corrected me in my DMs and I still got it wrong. I'm sorry, coach. They lost to Cedar Park in week 2. And their quarterback, Miles Teodecki, has grown and grown and grown and grown, gotten better each week. And their defense is playing its best football right now in classic Vandegrift, Drew Sanders style.
Other than last year when they went Division I and they crashed out in the first round, they are a team that you can almost pencil into the fourth round.
Correct. Yeah, they've been there. The difference for me in this one is the Summer Creek front.
Yeah.
With Chad Woodfork, the TCU signee. I think that's the difference. I think that is the thing that Summer Creek has that I'm not sure Vandegrift has an answer for. Because I don't know if this Vandegrift offensive line is as good as it was when it played for the title in 2022.
This was a Vandegrift team I think it's a year early,
I think
honestly.
you're right.
I think they've kind of overachieved, which is a credit to Coach Sanders and those kids. I didn't expect them to be here, and they've overachieved. This is a Summer Creek team that's experienced, played for a state championship last year. A lot of those guys are back, and I think they're laser focused. Brandon Jones, the DB, I think he's got like 5. Every time I turn around, Brandon Jones is returning an interception for a touchdown. He had 2 in the season opener against Shadow Creek. He had 1 last week. He's just a menace in the secondary. And the only thing I would say about Summer Creek is talking to them after they beat Katie Jordan. They were so focused on, we DeSoto embarrassed us in the state championship game. That's not us. That we've been focused on. We want another shot at DeSoto. We want to get there and get another crack at DeSoto. Well, DeSoto's out. Is there a little bit of a letdown from a kind of from a distance standpoint? Because they see that DeSoto lost and they think, okay, the state title's ours. We're gonna walk to a state title. You better not do that because Vandegrift's good enough to beat them. I trust Summer Creek though. I think Kenny Harrison is not going to let his team have a letdown, and I think that defense is the key. I like Summer Creek.
I do too. I like Summer Creek. I think they make it back to AT&T Stadium in 6A Division II. Other than that, though, nothing going on this week.
No, just a very quiet week.
It's a very quiet week in high school football. 20 games. Do you want to tell us which of those 20 games you're going to?
I'm going to 5 games.
You're sick.
Oh.
Yes.
Wow.
So Thursday night, I am going to be in Mineral Wells for Hamilton and Stanford.
Oh, wow.
Plan on pre-gaming. I already talked to Cody Worrell. Plan on pre-gaming at the Fancy Dairy Queen.
At the
Rogue Dairy
Renegade,
Queen.
The Renegade Dairy Queen.
Gonna give me a peanut butter chocolate shake. It's gonna be great. Then Friday, I'm gonna spend it. I'm in Mineral Wells. So you know where Mineral Wells is.
I do.
You've been out to beautiful Mineral Wells. After the game, I'm gonna get in my car.
I know exactly what you're doing.
I'm gonna drive to Abilene.
Yeah, you are.
Because I'm already out. I'm already halfway there.
Sure enough.
And I'm gonna spend the night in Abilene. I'm gonna work at my big boy job on Friday, and then at 4 o'clock, I will be at Abilene Christian for Wall and Gunter.
This is the only way to do 5 games.
Yes, and
Wow.
if it's close, I'm going to stick around till the end. If it gets ugly, I'm going to bail out, but I'm going to be there. And then at 7:30, the Salina Canyon West Plains game moved to 7:30. By the way,
Oh, did it?
It's 7:30 kick.
Wow.
That's fine. Gives me 30 extra minutes. I will head over to Shotwell Stadium for that game. And then I will get in my car, try to my hotel in Abilene, and get in my football bed in the hotel.
What you're doing?
And then Saturday morning, I'm gonna get up and drive from Abilene to Waco.
I can't believe you're doing this.
2:30 at Baylor, Angleton, and Smithson Valley, and then I'm gonna stick around in Waco for the 7 o'clock game. Summer Creek and Vandegrift. I'm gonna shut it down. I'm shutting the state semifinals down at McLean Stadium. Summer Creek and Vandegrift to close out the semifinals, and then I will probably be very tired after that.
Vinny, look how proud of himself he looks.
I am.
Look at how proud of himself he is.
I love it. You're just looking at him with like.
They told you if you didn't think I was a sicko, I'm a sicko.
This is as sick as it gets. So Mineral Wells,
which one is
Abilene to Waco?
Yes,
for 5 high school football games in 60 hours.
Yes. What about the weekend a few years ago when I did Amarillo playoffs on Thursday and then I was in Roma on Friday night? It's just,
Let's find out. Let's
Just do
end
what
this
I do.
very brief podcast by asking Vianney Moreno. Hey, Vianney, what'd you write down?
I was just actually looking through my notes and highlighting them, and I have like 3 pages of notes.
Okay, well let's keep this.
you're prepped for state already.
Just a couple.
By the way, while she's figuring this out, I will tell you that next week we will have 4 podcasts for you. We'll have
4 Tep and Steps?
a Wednesday preview, a Thursday preview, a Friday preview, and a Saturday preview.
For all you sickos.
We will drop them all Monday night in your podcast feed, and then we will
For the
play
subscribers that we
for
love.
subscribers that we love,
subscribers.
and for the freeloaders that we do not love as much, we will be playing them for you. The video version, I believe we're doing. Is it 9
9 or 9:30?
Yeah, we'll probably put them out early.
I think we're gonna do 9:30 for every
The morning of every
the
game.
morning
So
of every
Wednesday
game.
morning 9:30 we'll have the
Yeah,
Wednesday
we'll have the
previews.
Wednesday preview and stuff like that.
Tune
Those
in.
are usually about a half hour long.
It's Christmas time, so if you're looking for a great Christmas present,
Texas
a
football.
subscription to TexasFootball.com is a great Christmas present for the football fan in your life.
Vianney, what'd you write down?
I wrote down a lot of things. Driving through Grapeland is a brag.
It is a brag. I've never driven through.
Tank is coming to the banquet.
Tank Scott's coming to
Tank
banquet.
Scott, yeah.
Hamilton Bulldogs is a Tep and Step.
The official team of Tep and Step.
The
That's
official
right.
team of Tep and
The
Step.
banner.
Yes.
We got to get that banner
We're
made.
gonna buy the banner. We're gonna do it.
Wall is fast. Carthage is a different animal than the Dallas Cowboys have seen.
Correct.
Fair.
Tepper fell for it.
I did.
Cody Stover did the thing.
He did.
We say ding dong with all due respect.
We do. Yeah.
We
That's an. I describe my son as Max is a ding dong.
Lastly, we're putting something Randall on dog watch. Buck Randall.
Buck Randall's on dog watch.
Yeah.
The quarterback at Highland Park might be on dog warning.
There
by the
you have
time
it,
this
guys.
airs. Anyway, that's going to do it for us. Thanks for enjoying this very brief podcast. We'll be back in your podcast feed next Monday with 4 state championship preview episodes, and then we will have you next week on the days of the game. So other than that, I got nothing else to say. Stepp, thanks for your courage.
Thank you.
Talk to you next week for state. Tep and Stepp.
Bye.